CHAPTER II of A Christmas When the West Was Young by Cyrus Townsend Brady (1865) CHAPTER II LOVE AND FAREWELL Then suddenly, how or why they could not tell, the baby who had been perfectly strong and well, sickened. It was now winter. The weather had been generally mild as yet. Adequate shelter had been built for the livestock. The harvest had been safely garnered. They thought they were ready for anything. And so indeed they were for everything but what actually happened. Ah, neither men nor women are ever ready for that. They did the best they could, of course, but that was not enough. The man remembered a wild, furious gallop to the frontier town in search for the only physician for miles around. A wilder gallop back with the young doctor by his side. Rough and ready treatment, simple medicines, availed nothing. Prayers, petitions, heartbreakings, agonizings, these availed nothing either. The woman held to her breast at last a little form that was still. She laid against its warmth a little face that was cold. She drew up to her neck a little hand that fell away when she released it. Oh, the agony of those moments! For what purpose had the child been given if now he was so swiftly and so suddenly to be taken away? Why do babies ever die? She looked from the still face of her little son to the set countenance of her husband, and sought an answer. Alas, he could not give it. She sought illumination from the gray clouds above them, and from them she received no light. She even asked the question in her heart of God himself, and alas, even he did not make reply. The baby himself, she thought, tenderly, might have whispered the secret to his bereft mother, if only he could have spoken. It was the morning of the second day before Christmas when the baby died. They buried him on Christmas Eve on the brow of the hill, looking over the ocean of open country. They had clothed him in the simple dress she had made for his baptism, now grown quite too small for him. Of all the flowers, there was left in the house but a single rose, white. They laid that beneath the tiny hands. The man had dug the grave, had made the box and covered it over. He thrust into the mound a rude cross. From his lips fell the old words, "I am the resurrection and the life." Centuries of hard life in her ancestry had given the woman the quality of repression. She stood silently, without a word or tear, but with clenched lips and heaving breast, while the man faltered through the service. After completing this last terrible duty, they went back over the little hill to the log cabin. The same cabin, but how different! They sat together before the fire, he with his arm around the waist of the woman, she with her head on his shoulder, and his other hand holding the hand that was closest to him. In silence they watched the flames flare up and die away, coming and going like life itself. They spoke not, though they recalled every murmur, every babble, every little gesture, And that afternoon he had to leave her. The Government Land Office required his presence, and tomorrow was the last day. If he reached the settlement that night, he could transact his business and be back again the next day by noontime. Of the two evils, the latter seemed the better choice. There would be a Christmas package from the old home there for them, too. He would bring that back. He explained it all to her. She nodded her head in dull acquiescence. He must go. He hated to leave her alone, he said, but she told him gently that she would never be alone again, that there would always be a little presence with her. 2 or 3 times before he had left her, but never like this, and his heart was wrung within him that he had to go. He turned in his saddle again and again, watching the figure standing in the doorway, oblivious to the cold. He was too far away to see, but he could imagine how her eyes had wandered between the little cross-covered mound and his rapidly diminishing figure out on the prairie. It was Christmas Eve, and they had planned to hang up the baby's stocking. End of Chapter 2